What is up, everybody? Welcome to L2R2 PlayStation Podcast. My name's Fonzie. I'm joined by my co-host, Indie Game Dev, my UK bruv from another mum, Callum Monroe. And you can also email us at L2R2Podcast at Gmail if you want to get your questions, comments on the show. Callum, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Yeah, I feel very professional now. We've got an email and everything.
For the
Yeah.
one guy out there who accidentally clicks on our podcast, yeah, he can email us.
At least we're giving him the option. But yeah, no, I'm doing all right. I'm very tired, but I think it's so hot at the moment. And it just drains me and in a nice way. I like feeling tired sometimes because it means I can relax and not think about anything. But yeah, just trying not to get too sunburnt, trying to ride out this
Mhm.
hot weather whilst it lasts. But yeah, how are you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. I'm also like I've been going out and hiking a lot too, like just working on cardio and yeah, man, it's therapeutic to get out there and just you don't like I guess you unplug from like society a bit, but like it's good to get in your thoughts and then
Yeah.
just unplug and get some time away from everything, all the bullshit that we're going through on a daily basis.
Mhm. Yeah, it's good. It's good to get some air that doesn't go through like a PC fan or a PlayStation fan or something. Some proper air. Yeah, it's
Right.
it's nice. It's nice. And then whilst this weather lasts, I suppose, 'cause we'll probably be moaning when it starts to get colder and we can't do anything. But
Yeah, that's how it goes. You mentioned so you're back training again. So like, how do you have you noticed you like an uphill battle like getting to your normal like ability to like your cardio level that you had before?
yeah, I think so. I had about 3 months off of training, and I went back to my first one last week, and I felt like I've been hit by a bus afterwards. I felt really sore,
Hmm.
and then I had my second session back yesterday because I was away for the rest of the week, and straight away I felt like I think it's more after about 3 months. I think it's more of like a shock to the system when you start again. I think when you get past that
Yeah.
initial shock, it's not as bad. I mean, there's definitely a big sort of gap as to where I was, but yeah, no, it's not too bad. It's not so much the cardio, it's more the just the general muscular like ache you get afterwards, like aching and just being generally slow and a bit more sort of lethargic at times, which is what I really noticed. But no, it's just so nice to be back and doing things that sort of are good for me. And yeah,
Yeah.
like you're saying, I'm trying to go for some walks just to sort of fill out those days in between, and yeah, just trying to like push myself through some pain just so I can sort of get back up to feeling fit and healthy again. Because yeah, the past 3 months has just seen, I think most of us turn into just slobs really. So it's nice to get
Oh
out
yeah.
and feel a bit more human again.
Yeah, you'll be kicking dudes' heads off in no time, right? You're doing kickboxing, right?
Kickboxing, yeah.
Nice. Yeah, just the other day or yesterday actually, and I'm feeling it still. I was doing this mundane thing. I was just changing the oil in my car and then my wife's car, but like back to back. And so I'm underneath the car and like just straightening my neck and stuff. And even that is, I'm already feeling that today.
Yeah,
I'm like Frankenstein, just kind of,
yeah,
with no
yeah.
mobility. But
I've got this weird like I kind of like feeling achy, especially when like you go to bed and like you sort of stretch out and you feel all your muscles sort of you just feel like you've worked
right.
hard. And I quite like that. And I like how sort of when if you go training and you already ache, how it sort of just all goes away whilst you're training, and then after you finish, it's like doubled on, and you're like, oh. But yeah, no, I like to feel like I've done like some good work and things. I mean, there's definitely a side to me that doesn't want to do it if I'm already aching, but it's I sort of have that extra drive at the moment because I haven't done it in so long. So it's kind of like that. You don't know what you had to this goal kind of thing. You don't know how lucky we are to be able to go out and do training and exercise. So when
Oh
you're
yeah.
stuck in all the time, and it does take its toll on you for sure.
Yeah, no, I will. I'll definitely. I only take movement or like exercising, getting out there for granted, or I always take it for granted, and then it's when I can't do it
Yeah.
that I'm just like, first thing I'm gonna be out there running. But it doesn't. It lasts for a little while, but it usually it'll go away.
Oh
Like,
yeah, it'll balance out. Like soon I'll be like, oh,
right.
I won't go tonight. But yeah, but for now I'm enjoying this sort of like state of motivation that I've suddenly got. So it's quite nice. But it's just tiring, sort of even just thinking positively, I suppose. Sometimes you sort of
Yeah, that's the
when
constant
you have
battle.
those sort
Like,
of spikes and then like a week later, you're like, oh, I'm knackered now. I've got to go back to being miserable and hating everything. So yeah, I'm currently on that sort of teetering above that sort of line, and easily by next week I'll be back to being miserable and complaining about everything.
There you go. That's the standard way to do it, man.
Yeah,
That's how you got to live life.
yeah.
Nice. I've been watch anything or been doing anything cool?
Well, I watched. I don't know if I mentioned it last week. I watched the second series of that Ricky Gervais thing on Netflix called Afterlife. I don't know if you've seen it. Um,
I think I watched the first season. That's where he's like a reporter. Or he works for a like
Newspaper.
a newspaper. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I watched
yeah.
the first season. It was really cool.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's very emotional and well written. I really enjoyed it. I like Ricky Gervais as well. He's a good sort of
Yeah,
realist. Like he's good. He's always good to listen to. So yeah, I enjoyed that. Very bingeable. It's only a few hours to watch the whole series. But other than that, I've been just playing. Well, I finished off Ghost of Tsushima. I got the platinum on it. And I've actually gone back to playing a bit of Last of Us 2, which I started sort of carried on my new game plus last night. Um, so yeah, and I played a little bit of Grounded, but haven't really gone back to it yet. But so yeah, so I've mostly Ghost of Tsushima, but as I've sort of finished that and come to the end of that, I've teetered around with Last of Us and Grounded slightly.
gotcha. Yeah, let's. So I want to get into Ghost of Tsushima, and then we have some news articles about it too. But so I'm so behind on it where I'm playing, but I'm taking my sweet ass time. Apparently, like I can't even fathom platinuming or finishing this game. Like there's just so much. I think I'm on still the first third of that island.
Yeah,
So the idea of being at the end just seems insane to me. But there's just so much you can do there. But yeah, I'm playing it still. I'm having fun. We talked about linking up to play Grounded. We need
yeah,
to try and do that because I booted
yes,
it up last night, and it's kind of terrifying with all
yeah,
the with all
yes, yeah.
the bugs and stuff. I didn't realize how crazy scary it is, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's tense.
Yeah, yeah. But I played for about 45 minutes or so overall, just playing around, and it's definitely not what I expected. I expected it to be one of these open-ended survival games, which is why I think when we first heard about it, I said it's a bit of a strange thing for Obsidian to do. But now after playing a bit of the single player, you can see that it is actually very Obsidian-like. It reminded me of Outer Worlds a lot. Their writing
Yep.
style is definitely there. It's an intriguing world for sure. There's a lot of placed storytelling and world building things that it's not like the forest or the raft or these sort of
Right.
open ended, no goal, just survive kind of games. Which I think is really cool. I was talking to a friend about it, and I said that it seems kind of like Fallout 76 kind of thing where you have a quest,
Yep.
um, but the survival element just comes into play when you're trying to get from quest to quest. So it might be a long route through dangerous areas to get to where you need to go. So on the way, you might need to craft a house so you can have a respawn beacon closer to your objective, or you might need to craft some weapons or something or you might need to get some food or something like that. And it just adds a whole sort of new tier to just playing a normal RPG. I mean, it plays similarly to your Fallout, your Outer Worlds, and that you're just trying to find an objective. It's a set world, so it's really cool just to be able to play a game like that. And it seems like you can link up with friends and do things together. So yeah, I really really like what I played, and yeah, it's very scary. I sort of was thinking I like the idea of the arachnophobia thing, but I thought, gosh, surely people aren't that scared of spiders. But after I came across one, I was like, I might turn that on actually, because they're pretty scary.
Yeah, because they're of course like insanely huge, and I
Yeah,
think one of the first little missions you have or things you have to do is you have to go into this tiny little cave
yeah,
basically to kind of check on the laser or whatever. And as soon I didn't have a torch either, so as soon as I kind of peeked in there, I'm like, nope, I have
yeah,
to have a
yeah,
torch or something. Like it's
yeah,
so dark and creepy,
yeah,
and I'm just in the. I think I played like the first hour, so I've walked around and seen some of those huge spiders
mhm.
and just run away as fast as I can because I don't want to fuck with them at all.
Yeah. No, I think the further I got to the part, where you have to investigate the tree because like there's an
Yeah.
explosion there, and I was on the way to the tree, and I went through like this kind of cove, and yeah, and I just heard this noise and turned around, and there was a spider, and it's just the way like the sound that they make, the
Yeah.
way, and they've really like honed in on how scary these things are. And they really like got all the elements together, like the sound, their animation, just the kind of atmosphere these spiders create, and they have really made them quite terrifying things to encounter. Not just because they're spiders, just because of the way they're presented, and adds a good layer to the game. But yeah, I really like it. I like the style. I think for an early access game as well, which I played the day it came out, I thought there was I didn't encounter any bugs. I didn't, no pun intended, obviously. I didn't encounter any. I encountered bugs like ants, but yeah, no, I didn't
Right.
find any problems. It played really well, looked really well, looked really good. So yeah, I'm really excited to dive in and play a bit more.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, and I've seen people pick this apart online. That just what a great acquisitions for Microsoft to make. I mean,
Oh
they've the devs have been making this, which is it's pretty much eating Fallout 76's lunch. They have the Outer Worlds, which
yeah.
is eating Fallout's lunch as well, and then you have them working on Avowed, which
Yeah,
is dipping into like a traditional Bethesda game.
yeah,
It's pretty nuts, and what a great purchase. I mean,
yeah,
they're really shaping up to be this awesome developer.
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, Obsidian have always been, for me, they make the best narrative-based games. You just need to look at New Vegas or their
Right.
roots of like the original Fallout games or the Pillars of Eternity games and even the South Park games that they did, and Outer Worlds, of course, all have like just incredibly like superior narrative design and storytelling than any other games. I mean, even some of the other best RPG makers and things, even Bethesda's older stuff, they just pale in comparison to the things Obsidian do. So yeah, they're an excellent acquisition by Microsoft, and I think Avowed will be a game really to watch because that's them in their element in that high fantasy setting. We haven't really had anything like that in sort of the first person stratosphere since Skyrim, really. I think for a lot of people, Skyrim didn't scratch the itch that a lot of these hardcore fantasy fans what had. That sort of Oblivion maybe set. I think a lot of people, myself included, were quite disappointed in Skyrim's sort of simplicity in comparison to Oblivion. So I think Obsidian are just the perfect team to do that as well. Really exciting stuff. I'm really glad to see them, firing on all cylinders and releasing just games and on the Xbox Game Pass as well, which is great. Great to try things out on.
Yeah, no, I mean same here. I think now this is it's an early access game for Xbox and it's on the Game Pass. But is this releasing on PlayStation? I feel like they announced it is, or
Okay.
am I mistaken on that?
It might be. I mean, I think it's only on Xbox Game Preview or whatever they call it. That sort of coin
Okay,
term they use. So it might when it's fully ready to be released, then perhaps it'll come on PlayStation. I'm not sure to be honest. I haven't have a
well,
look.
I bring that up just because lately it seems like Xbox, even though they have these first party studios, they're allowing them to release on other platforms. Like it seems like they're really letting these devs, release everywhere. So it
Yeah,
just seems like this would also follow suit. But
yeah,
and it's kind of a unique idea because once you do gain these studios, it's like you want to keep them in your ecosystem, but they're
yeah,
kind of allowing them to branch out and that's a whole another route that Sony is not taking. And like the
yeah.
furthest we're getting to that is them releasing on PC only recently.
Yeah, well, I'm just looking up now on PSU.com, which seems to be like a PlayStation centric news website. It looks like it's not coming to PlayStation because it's now owned by or it's part of Xbox Game Studios. They only will
Gotcha.
release games on Microsoft platforms. So yeah, so that's PC or Xbox or whatever. So yeah, it's an amazing acquisition. I think, like you're saying, I think whilst their talent is there and everybody's seen it, and it's not like they're a small studio by any stretch. I think that
Right.
this is going under the radar quite a lot because people are, looking at them now. Some people are disappointed with what Microsoft offered in terms of first party exclusives, but Obsidian, Avowed is going to be huge. All it will
Yep.
take is to start to be, shown off a bit more, and people will be really on board with that as well.
Nice. I know you mentioned online, going back to what you're playing, switching from Ghost of Tsushima to Last of Us. Like,
Yeah.
what are the differences you're finding jumping back into that? Is it just
Um,
more brutal gameplay or?
yeah, I mean, it's mostly the controls. I think just
Mm,
having to because Ghost of Tsushima is quite a simple control scheme. Left stick to run. It's mostly like right stick to crouch, which is a tough one. Um, right stick to crouch in Ghost and circle in Last of Us. The
right.
sprinting, I think, which is R1, is a bit strange, and or L1, and the here it's just all a bit. It's all a bit strange, and I think The Last of Us is because it's a lot more detailed in terms of how it's animated. Everything feels very slow, much slower to, you know, I don't feel quite as responsive, especially in combat. I feel myself literally just standing in the middle of nowhere getting shot at whilst I try and figure out how I can get out of the way because I can't like I don't have that mobility that Ghost of Tsushima sort of gives you and that ease of playing. So yeah,
Yeah.
so it's just they're just very vastly different feeling games. But no, after a while, I sort of got into. I'm only playing it on the easiest difficulty at the moment, anyway, so that sort of helps. But yeah, it's quite difficult when you go from a real, you know, fun game like Ghost of Tsushima that's made to just feel great and just be enjoyable to something like Last of Us, which is a bit more niche in that kind of respect, I'd say.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I guess if there's like a Venn diagram, the way they overlap is like Days Gone is in the middle. You
Mm,
have Last of Us getting, then Days Gone has some of that vibe, but it's still more gamey.
yeah,
And then I guess Ghost is a bit more on that, more not arcadey, but just like fast paced, kind of
yeah,
get in that into that action, and it's
yeah.
just a bit simplified.
Just as enjoyable for the player as possible, I suppose.
Right.
Whereas Last of Us is very heavy on realism, making sure everything looks great, making sure it's the best possible AI, the best possible, you know, this kind of thing. And Ghost of Tsushima just knows how to be extremely enjoyable for everyone to play. So, no, they're both great experiences in their own right. But yeah, it's very difficult to go from one way to the other for sure.
You know what that reminds me? I've seen supercuts like on Twitter of all the different first party PlayStation games, and they all kind of and they can blend together with how your third person. There a lot of them are action based. I saw this Twitter GIF where they were switching from from Days Gone to Death Stranding to Last of Us to Horizon,
Mm.
and all in this one action sequence, and it looked really cool. But at the same time, I wonder. Are all these first party games kind of looking or providing the same kind of feel? Like it's all third person, almost open world now, with like even The Last of Us dipped into that.
Yeah.
Is there almost a oversaturation with what they're doing? Like they need to kind of mix it up and maybe add some a bit more options there.
Yeah. I think they can. There's definitely comparisons to be drawn. I think there's comparisons to be drawn between, in terms of exclusives. I think between Ghost of Tsushima and Horizon. You know, maybe Last of Us and Uncharted 4 definitely. Um, God of War is probably more, yeah, sort of Last of Us kind of experience as well. See, I think they can all draw
Yeah.
comparisons with one another in some respects. Um, but yeah, I definitely think that if there was to be a new IP now, I think it'd be best to, you know, try and maybe go a little bit different. Um, and I think you know, with State of Play coming up and an alleged PlayStation franchise being, you know, rebooted or brought into the fray again, we can only hope for something, even if it's something like Silent Hill, or, you know, I always go on about Resistance, just a shoot, or Killzone, just a shooter or something,
Right.
something that's just a little bit different, a little bit of a, you know, different experience than what we're used to getting. Because there's nothing wrong with getting these games. I mean, they're all exceptional games, but yeah, and, you know, sometimes you just want something a little bit different in that sort of in that aspect.
Yeah, I would like to see them focus on those properties that they haven't had in a while, and something like another shooter, like a Killzone, just to bring it back and kind of add some variety to that. Because yeah, these are all like every first party studio they release is all just it's all top notch,
Mhm.
but it would be cool to kind of mix it up and add some of those other. And you have Dreams and whatnot too, but it just seems like the ones that get the most attention are these third person, action games.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think it's fair enough. I think that, you know, they're a good way of telling, you know, stories in games, a good way of just basing your game around. But yeah, I think there's definitely some room for some new things as well.
Yep. Well, we'll see what they end up putting out. Yeah, there's where we can only theorize, but we'd have to imagine another state of play very soon. Now that Xbox is out of the way too, now I feel like August we got to hear something. But they
Yeah,
tend to announce things like the week before,
yeah.
So
I've seen
it's going to
sort
be
of
very.
rumblings of like the first week in August. I'm not sure, you know, how much there is behind those, but um,
Yeah, I heard the same rumors, and I think it's still rumors now, but it's not out of possibility that they could do that. It's got to
yeah,
be this month for sure. And then I guess this month we'd also have to we keep saying it, but a price. I feel like that's got to happen very very soon, because you can't get in. You don't want to go into September and not have a price.
yeah.
Like it's same with Xbox too. Like we're getting down to the wire with this stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I think we're I just want to be able to pre-order it now because it's getting very it's getting very close, like you said, and I think it's time that we start securing our consoles, and it'll drive the hype as well. I mean, there's such a
Hmm.
huge difference in excitement when you know that you've definitely got one on its way, kind of thing, versus just theorizing about it. So yeah, I think it's around now. You'd imagine this to happen. It's merely months away now, so yeah, you do wonder when that announcement will come.
Yeah, I mean, and I can't imagine. You mentioned the hype building up as people actually put their pre-orders in.
Mm.
I can't imagine the fanboy levels once people actually do acquire their PlayStation or their Xbox, the pre-orders anyways.
Yeah,
I can't imagine the levels of fanboy when people actually get the thing, and then they're going to even ramp it up online, saying this is better, that's better. Like we're
yeah,
already doing that without having the consoles in our hand,
yeah,
doing that war beforehand,
yeah,
and so I can't imagine the online community just being
yeah.
more assholes
It'd,
basically.
it'd be nice if more PlayStation fans were like us. We talk about Xbox games. I think we talk about them quite often, like Grounded and Halo. We talk about all sorts, and
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing to be like. I mean, I think for me, definitely, our PlayStation's my favorite system to play on for sure. My favorite platform. It's the platform I know most about its history, and it's the ecosystem I'm most invested in. But no, yeah, I mean, we've talked about it in length before, but I just don't see the reason in trying to won over another platform. It's always good just to. I mean, I love Xbox Game Pass is probably one of the best things I think available in that sphere at the
Oh yeah.
moment. I think if I pay $3.99 a month and I get access to every single brand new Xbox game plus a whole plethora of other cross-platform games. So yeah, I think there's benefits to be had for all the platforms.
Yeah, that's one thing I found because we watched that live stream last week with Xbox. I've seen people break it down further after that event, just talking about the fact that we need to pay more attention to Game Pass as
Yeah,
just how monumental that is. I mean, and they talked about in that conference, everything you see here, this first party is will be on Game Pass, so it's something you can play. You don't have to buy the full blown, $60, $70 title, whatever it's going to be. You just have access to it with Game Pass. So
yeah,
it's pretty nuts to see them double down. And Sony really doesn't have that option. You have PS Now, but you have to pay for that subscription. And it's like older games that end up going there. And so, Sony doesn't have anything like that to compare. You could argue that they don't have to because they're in the lead. And maybe this is something Microsoft has to do to kind of gain ground. But still, that's a huge thing for gamers, a huge win
yeah.
that they can pay so little and get to play like just newly released games on there.
Yeah. I think that's the thing I sort of find strange about Xbox Game Pass is just the price. I just don't see how it is like fair in any way to them making money. I mean, $3.99 a
Right.
month for me means I'd have to buy myself an Xbox. I never have to buy a game through Xbox. I get everything for $3.99 a month, and that's just it'll take me it'll take me a year to pay the price of a game, an entire year.
Right.
And in that year, I'll probably get 8 brand new titles that would have cost a year's worth of subscription per game. So I'm not sure how it works, and I'm not sure whether it's just a way of maybe they don't sell that many games on Xbox, so it's a way of actually making more money in that way. I just don't know, but it is where it is such an amazing deal. It does also make me think, how does this work? How is this a sustainable sort of model to have?
Well, and that's fair. A lot of people are trying to pick that apart as well. Like, how do they actually? And does that money go back to the devs? How do they get
Yeah.
paid? But I guess the model that's been working for so long is Netflix. They do that same
Mhm.
thing. They have full blown movies that release there, TV shows that they actually produce. They don't just acquire, and they're still able to keep it at that $10, $15 a month price. And they've been able to grow. I think the only way that works is if you have to have an insane amount of subscriptions. Once you get that, or if you're on the path of getting that, then that eventually, I guess, pays for the fact behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like, but they have to have a bunch of subscriptions to just justify it. So, but Netflix has been doing it
Mhm.
and they're succeeding. So I guess they're following that model.
I mean, it's just a mad, it's such a mad deal that it is just what there's not many times where you think, oh, that's such a good price. I wonder how they're making money from that. And so it's a
Yep.
good thing for us as a consumer, definitely. I mean, I've got no complaints, but it is just one of those things where you're thinking of how much longer can this go on for?
Right, right. Yeah, I'm very curious to that as
Yeah.
well. Yeah, Kyle, we can go in some of the news.
Hmm.
Really, I played the same stuff that you were playing. Played Grounded, played Tsushima.
Yeah.
I did try a couple of these are also Xbox games, but I played this game called Ooblets that's on Xbox first, but I think it's actually cross-platform now. But it's like this farming sim where you have these little, almost like Pokemon characters that you trade and grow.
Yeah.
It's very cute. It's almost like Katamari with like the art style and the writing. It's very just like just a unique kind of weird. It understands like what it is.
Yeah.
And then I jumped into Carry On, which I don't know if you've seen footage of
Yes.
that game.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, I'm really digging it. It's just like this. You control this monster basically in this underground facility, and you're just brutally,
Yeah.
murdering the people that kept you in there. And it's just really cool, unique kind of experience where you feel like you are the monster. You get to scare the hell out of the people that you're trying to escape from and mess with them. And then it's super gory,
Yeah.
and it's very unique. I'm really digging it. It's kind of like playing an 80s like horror movie, but
Yeah.
you're the monster.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a really cool idea. I saw some of your gameplay of it, and I saw some online. It looks like a really
Oh yeah.
fun idea, and I think the art style fits it really well as well because it sort of leaves some of it to your imagination, which kind of makes things even creepier sometimes.
Right, right. Yeah, so I've been jumping into that, and not a whole lot beyond that.
Yeah.
I think I will keep Tsushima. I don't think I'll ever finish that game. I think I'll keep uh, just chipping away at it, every
You
day,
can't
just
let
like,
the
an hour
Mongols.
here.
You can't let the Mongols win.
Yeah, they might, in my playthrough, they might actually win, but we'll see. Um, yeah, so we'll go. We have some Tsushima news, so we'll go into some of that
Yeah.
stuff. We got a couple articles here in a row with Tsushima. So, Ghost of Tsushima is PS4's fastest-selling first-party original IP debut. This is of IGN's Adam Bankhurst. Ghost of Tsushima has become PlayStation 4's fastest-selling first-party original IP debut, with over 2.4 million units sold through globally in the first 3 days following its July 17, 2020 release
I'm
date.
listening.
PlayStation's Twitter. Oh, gotcha. You're just piecing out. Okay. PlayStation's Twitter revealed the news, marking the milestone for Sucker Punch's first game since Infamous Second Son and First Light. For comparison, Horizon Zero Dawn sold over 2.6 million units in its first 3 weeks of sale. And so, yeah, Tsushima has sold 2.4 million units in its first 3 days. Ghost of Tsushima and Last of Us Part 2, which recently became the fastest-selling PS4 exclusive ever, with 4 million copies sold in its first 3 days, have both proven to be worthy investments for Sony and giving PS4 owners 2 impressive games before the launch of the PlayStation 5 this holiday. Yeah, that's great news. I guess I didn't really see Tsushima selling as much as it did, but I mean, it's really taken over, and maybe it was paired at the right moment with Last of Us being such a you mentioned a kind of a niche experience, and it's everything over the top as far as like animations and how deep it is. With Tsushima, it's taking more of a gamey kind of vibe to it, and I think it's really clicking with players to sell that much over just 3 days.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think there's been a game in a while where on social media the reception has been so overwhelmingly positive. Um, I barely see any negativity about the game, and if I do, it's always accompanied with I don't like this, but this is great
Right.
kind of thing. So yeah, I think it's awesome. It's a perfect ending to because I mean this is the last PlayStation 4 exclusive. Obviously, as they've announced that they're leaving the PS4 behind in terms of first-party games, which I think we both agree is a good move. So yeah, it's a
Yeah.
brilliant finale. Obviously, not the end of PlayStation 4. We'll still have all the cross-platform games coming to it and everything for years to come. But yeah, it's awesome. It's really, really good for PlayStation. And most importantly, it's a bloody great game. It's absolutely brilliant. Absolutely love my time with it. So yeah, it's just all good stuff, all positive.
Yeah, I think they definitely have a franchise on their hands, and there's so much more they could do with this world. And yeah, I can't wait for them to just keep working on it. I wonder, do you think Sucker Punch should focus on going back to Infamous, or just work directly on a Tsushima sequel for PS4?
It's hard for me to say completely, so only because I've only played Second Son. I never played the first two, and Second Son is well known to be the worst of the lot. Um, So for me, I'm not. I'm happy with leaving Infamous, where it is. My
Yeah,
opinion might be different if I'd grown up with the first two or played the first two, but I think Ghost of Tsushima, Ghost of Tsushima's had such a huge reception. I think they'd be stupid not to at least carry on something. Maybe if it's like we see a lot of standalone DLC nowadays, so you never know if we get like a standalone DLC thing similar to Miles Morales on PS5 in its first year or something.
true.
But yeah, they'd be stupid not to revisit it at least once in some respect. But I also think they've shown a real ability to come together and execute something with such a understanding. Because games are made by hundreds of people, games like this anyway. And I don't think I've ever played like a AAA game that has felt like the vision has been sort of just expertly seen out. The way music accompanies certain visual aspects, which accompanies certain like HUD, UI sort of things. Everything just flows perfectly, and it's so. And when that happens, that with that same kind of direction, that same kind of structure to making their games, they could make anything. They could make a game set in a different time period, with a different story to tell, and it would be just as interesting and fun, and just a good experience to play. But I do have to say, just quickly, that whilst I do think there are some issues with Ghost of Tsushima, mostly in its like writing and it's sort of, I think its storytelling is a bit, it definitely picks up towards the latter stage of the game. But
Mm.
the performances of Jin, the protagonist, and of Khotan Khan, the bad guy, are just amazing. They're so well acted and performed that I think Jin is one of my favorite protagonists for years. One of my favorite game characters. I just loved playing as him, and I think his whole demeanor sort of like set the mood for the game. And I don't know if you feel the same, where it's like just a super calm, relaxing experience just every time you turn it on. And I think that's in large part down to Jin, being very calm, very relaxed because he's a samurai, he's in check with his emotions, and I think the whole thing just understands its theme and mood, and I think it's just a absolutely brilliant game.
Yeah, I agree with you that it is kind of strange to or unique to have the entire kind of motives all played into the same general idea. With you talk about like relaxation, I'm experiencing that more and more with the game, where all the little things like following the fox to those little not sacrifice places, but those praying totems or whatever they are,
Yeah, yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that. You have those little pools where you can hang out in those like hot springs, and just generally like removing the HUD and just following the wind. Like they really understand what they're doing, and all while also like fixing a lot of like things that plague RPGs with like overloading the HUD or overloading the map. Yeah, I mean they completely understand what they're doing, and I guess it's not the same comparison, but the way the recent Dooms did this, where they rebooted, but they also just kind of got back to what the heart is of this
Mhm.
experience, and then just went full force into it and kind of removed what doesn't work and just focus on the mechanics that fully immerse you into that experience, and that's what Tsushima does.
Yeah, it is just awesome, and yeah, I think it does so many subtle things like so well, and so I think that's where a lot of its innovation comes, is the small things, the finite details that you don't normally think about. In terms of its general like scope and the way it plays and everything, it's fairly generic, but it's the small details and the way everything all comes together and the way the game just makes you feel as you're playing it. It's just such a, you can't help but just have just such a great experience with it. And I think even during like the first act, so probably around where you are now on it, there were a few times where I felt it was getting a little bit repetitive, a little bit stale, and falling into a little bit more of a generic game. But it wasn't that as I spent a bit more time with it, opened up the map slightly more, I realized how this gameplay loop's working and how
Mm.
much I do actually really enjoy it. So yeah, it's a great game, and I look forward to finishing it, because I think it does really pick up in the latter stages of the game as well. In terms of just everything, really, everything just gets dialed up, and it just feels like such a complete experience.
Right. Yeah, I'm very eager to also get to that point and finish this game. Now you mentioned you finished it, so we'll see if this next update gives you a reason to jump back into this game. But they just announced this a couple days ago. Ghost of Tsushima update adds ultra difficult lethal mode. This is from Nathan Ingram of Engadget. If you've already plowed through Ghost of Tsushima and found it wasn't enough of a challenge for you, developer Sucker Punch is releasing an update today that'll add a new lethal difficulty mode. As the name suggests, lethal mode steps things up significantly over the hard level that was previously the most challenging option. So specifically, Sucker Punch says the enemy weapons are more deadly, but the flip side is that main character Jin's katana is also more powerful to match. You won't be a tank that can absorb unreasonable amounts of damage, but at least your enemies won't either. Fortunately, this update also has some new accessibility features that make some specific parts of combat a bit more forgiving. Sucker Punch says that low intensity mode maintains the heart and feel of Ghost of Tsushima combat while relaxing several timing specific elements. How do you feel about that, Callum? Do you think it's enough to get you back in, or is it what difficulty did you play on when you did your playthrough?
I just played it on normal, so whatever the
Gotcha.
sort of standard difficulty was. I think it's a really cool idea. I think the fact they're not just throwing on an extra difficulty, going, "Oh, here you go, super hard." There, balancing it so it's a bit more. It's kind of like a realism mode you see in some games where enemies die quicker, but you also die just as quick. And I think that works really well for this combat. I think there's some really fun moments where you get unscathed, and there are some later game abilities that revolve around you, killing a certain amount of enemies in a row without dying and unlocking certain things from doing that. So I think they're playing around with the right thing there, and I think especially with the more accessibility stuff being added as well, it sounds like they've really put some thought into this. Which just shows, that this is the kind of thing that companies can put thought into, studios can put thought into when their game works right out of the box.
Right.
So, otherwise they'd be spending all this time and energy and effort on fixing bugs or patching things and things like that. But, it's such a well-made game that they can focus on more player-related and relevant things.
Yeah. Now, the next one here is still on the topic of Tsushima and really Sucker Punch in general, but there was last week, and we did get to cover it, there was just so much going on. There was a leak of this gameplay demo for a project that they ended up not releasing, but you can see remnants of Tsushima in this demo. So I have the link there if you want to kind of get ready to watch it at the same time with me. But I'll go into the article first. Unreleased Sucker Punch game footage leak. So this is by Charlie Hall Polygon. A lengthy video for an unreleased Sucker Punch game titled Prophecy has leaked online. It appears to be one of several dead ends that team explored on its way making Ghost of Tsushima, which was released on July 17th. Prophecy takes place in a fictional world inspired by the early Renaissance. Set in a European-inspired seaport, the game stars a man named Abel Tavora. Buried below the city are untold horrors. It's up to Tavora to stop a group of soldiers from uncovering them. Action is from the third-person perspective with plenty of cinematic moments and even a handful of quick-time events. So yeah, I have this video queued up, and whenever you're ready, we can. So the actual feed is longer. I have kind of a shorter version of it that I cut up, and that's that YouTube link, just so it's a bit more easy to jump into, because I think it's otherwise like 8-10 minutes.
Now?
Yeah, so hit play and I will hit play as well. Now? I'm seeing the Sucker Punch logo.
Yeah, so it's got a proper introduction. It's kind of like a proper trailer then. I think I saw screenshots maybe of this, but I didn't too much into it.
At last, I found it. The statue of beloved King Varys.
I'm guessing it's the fantasy one.
Yeah, I think it's kind of based on, but not like a one-for-one historical tale. But yeah, I do get vibes of. Later on, you'll see some of the gameplay. It reminds me of Assassin's Creed, just with how you're moving around the city itself. But. And this was a build that was never finished, right, or released, but visually it looks, it looks really cool. Maybe like an early PS4 game. I don't know at what point they would have developed this, if this was before Second Son or after Second Son.
You didn't get very far. What's wrong? Run out of tricks.
The funny thing is there are some games that are like just some
damn armor.
It looks a little bit like The Order, I want to say, like the
Yeah,
kind
yep,
of dystopian,
Got to be a way out of it.
old sort of Britain kind of thing.
right.
London,
Some steampunk vibes a little bit.
yeah.
And you got that first person mode, which is in Tsushima, where you're in these crowded spaces, yeah. Or cramped, like basement kind of stuff.
That reminds me now just seeing that button prompt with triangle. I didn't like it at first, but I ended up really digging pressing R2 to interact with things. I can't really think of any other game that does that, but it just felt I really quite like having R2 as your everything button.
That's
I
true,
quite
yeah,
like
because you
that.
pick up items and you slide through environment with
Yeah.
R2, right?
He got away.
I'd hoped so.
Yeah, you can tell it's mostly just to like demo maybe some certain things like the crawling and some of the combat things.
Right. Yeah, some of the combat, the swordplay, I think could have transferred over
Yeah,
for sure.
I like how he's just killing them in spite of
Yeah.
Wrong way. You've killed a lot of my men.
I like
Sight's
the
gonna be clear now.
I like the fact the voice acting is all probably like thrown together by some staff as well.
Right.
I see him.
It looks pretty cool.
Run all you want. I'm not gonna save you.
Yeah, actually, it doesn't look too bad. Maybe it's more of a generic kind of setting. I do like that they end up going with Tsushima, but it's
Yeah.
they weren't too far off from something pretty unique here.
Well, I think there's no reason why they can't enter that space and tell the story. It's like Assassin's Creed, just without
Right.
it. Like, I was even thinking, the whole sort of when,
Die like a coward.
same how it. Oh, definitely catapult sort of heights it sort of used to have, because I think it was maybe
Before these greedy
playing a little bit
fortune
low after
seekers
second
stumble
son.
upon the chambers
Yeah.
scattered beneath.
It was not that it was a bad game, but it was just kind of
for themselves.
a bit meh in comparison to what they offer.
Right.
Should that happen, all of this will burn.
And that's a pretty sprawling city, so they're going for some kind of open world thing as well.
It's quite interesting how it's sort of presented in this trailer. It makes you wonder whether maybe it was like a pitch thing, or
Right. Yeah, I've heard other people break that down too. That it's most likely internal because this wasn't supposed to be released. This is internal for maybe to show to Sony to see if they're interested, or or veto this or what have you. But yeah, this ended up releasing, and you can see a lot of the remnants of or the ideas that Tsushima picked up. I'm ultimately glad they went with that. It's just way more of a unique world with Tsushima, and then you have all the different elements that you could play on with having that feudal Japan, setting. But
Yeah.
this also doesn't look that terrible.
no, it looks good. It looks like a cool idea. It might have been a little bit of Dishonored or The Order or something.
Hmm.
Fantasy, medieval inspired kind of steampunk thing. But yeah, no, that's cool. I think it's just exciting now. Same as every time a good game comes out, it's exciting to see what's going to come next. And I know we won't see anything for months, if not years. But Ghost of Tsushima is just so good. It's such a well realized setting. Great characters. Yeah, it's just exciting to see what they do next.
Yeah, I agree, and it's cool because it gives a little bit of a peek behind the curtain where I imagine a lot of the stuff behind the scenes with maybe more with AAA development, but you're working on a lot of stuff that doesn't see the light of day, and there's got to be countless projects that that looks like there was a lot of work put into that for that demo, and it's just something that you can carry over mechanics and ideas, but you can't really reuse a lot of that. This is all built for that experience, basically.
Yeah, for sure.
Nice. Well, we'll transition out of that one. We got the next one here is about Cuphead. So Cuphead finally is coming to PS4. This was more of a surprise to me that we're seeing this, but I was certain that it was going to be stuck on Xbox, and then it did release on Switch as well. But I have the article here queued up to get the details. Cuphead is out on PS4. This is Joe Scrubbles of IGN. Cuphead has been surprise released on PlayStation 4, and developer studio MDHR has announced a free update coming to the existing Xbox One version. Announced during an interview with Jeff Keighley on a Summer Game Fest stream, the beautiful, challenging combat platformer will be available on PS4 for $9.99 USD or $15.99 in Europe. MDHR co-founder Chad Maldonado said, "To all the impassioned PlayStation fans who've sent us messages over the years, we're so excited for you to get a chance to experience Cuphead firsthand. We're also hugely thankful to the wonderful team at Xbox who continue to empower us to bring our game and our story to new audiences." Cuphead has sold 6 million copies across Xbox, PC, Mac, and Switch. A DLC expansion, The Delicious Last Course, is still due to release this year after a delay. So I put this at the end. The exact deal is unknown, but Microsoft provided additional funding/promotion in exchange, assumingly for some sort of exclusivity or percentage of game sales. But Microsoft do not own MDHR and did not publish the game. I found that interesting. I guess I assumed at some point in the past that they had acquired them as one of their studios, but they never did. They're still independent and able to make their own decisions. But I just never thought that we were going to see it, because I know that early on they announced that they had no plans to release this on PlayStation at all.
Yeah, as far as I understand, I mean, there's a really good documentary about the making of Cuphead. It was only made by like two guys. One person just programmed it and developed it in Unity, whilst the other hand draw the assets. I'm sure they got tiny bits of freelance done or whatever. But yeah, as I understand, I think Xbox funded it to sort of help it release, which obviously allowed them some timed exclusivity or something.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see it come to PS4. I've always thought about buying it on PC because it's on Steam as well. And my little brother's got a Switch. I'd consider getting it there as well. But I'm glad I held out, because I would definitely like to play it. I've played it on friends' Xboxes and things, and it's a brilliant game. It's such good fun. Really well stylized and brutally hard, but
yeah,
it's a really, really good fun game. So yeah, really, really great to see it on PS4. It's great to see. I like a good surprise release as well. And I was even thinking not long ago, this summer of games, whatever thing Jeff Keighley's doing, not a huge amount been announced there, but this is a good way to announce this.
Yeah, I mean, with that Summer Games thing, that's where he had that in-depth look at the DualSense. He's premiered other stuff there, and now you have that Cuphead announcement. So yeah, I mean, he's had some pretty exclusive announcements there. But I'm stoked to see it there. I don't think I will, because I do own this on Xbox. It was just brutally hard for me to and I wanted to keep going so bad. It's just I just couldn't find that click where it made sense, where I was in that flow to actually play through the game. But it's just so hard. But you have to master the mechanics, and that's what it demands of you to proceed any further. You can kind of get through a little bit of the world, but you really have to fully understand how to dodge and how to just understand the gameplay. But it is beautiful. I mean, it's maybe one of the most unique games I've seen released in a long time. And you can tell with how they've done this stop animation effect, and it's like all hand drawn, and so much time and effort has gone into this, and it pays off. Me being a huge baby, I wish there was an easy mode that I could still play it and get to the end. But no, it's an awesome announcement.
Yeah, for sure. It's a really great thing to just see it out on every platform. Really, it's always nice to see games sort of branch out and gain new audiences.
Yep, I agree. So that is a cool little thing we got last week. Let's see, going down, we have this one was cool. So there's a PlayStation documentary coming out. A PlayStation documentary trailer shows how far games have come since 1994. This is Sean Keane of CNET.com. As the hype grows for the upcoming PS5, an independent documentary diving into the history of Sony's PlayStation sounds pretty inviting. A trailer for From Bedrooms to Billions, the PlayStation Revolution, dropped Wednesday ahead of the documentary's September 7th release on VOD services, Blu-ray, and DVD. It includes interviews with icons from the brand's 25-year history, like current PlayStation boss Jim Ryan, Metal Gear Solid mastermind Hideo Kojima, lead PS5 architect Mark Cerny, and Resident Evil corrector Shinji Mikami. The trailer also shows plenty of footage from games through the years. I have the trailer if you want to. I have it in the doc if you want to watch it and kind of go through what they're talking about. I'm a sucker for this stuff. Like I love them going back into this, or just getting the personalities, along the way, the people who are highly influential and crucial to PlayStation, its history, to get their their take of just, I don't know how in depth or how behind the scenes they go, but I'm very stoked for this.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hit play if you want to hit that. Cool.
Yeah.
Going right now.
Yeah, it's I hadn't heard of this at all, but it's a really cool thing to do. There's not enough documentaries on on like a proper independent deep documentaries on these kind of things. So it'd be cool to watch. David Jaffe on there.
Yep, nice.
Some Resistance Fall of Man. Maybe they'll announce a new Resistance in the documentary.
And you got Mark Cerny there for a second.
I'll be happy with that. I'll be fine.
Yeah, with Mark Cerny, so he's in the doc. That's a guy I would love to buy him a beer and just kind of listen to him just ramble on about the facts of what he's working on, and just hear that brain work in real time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so many properties with PlayStation that either started there or exclusive to PlayStation.
Oh, Phil Harrison. He was the guy who bombed with the PS3, wasn't he?
Like the press conference, or just like the release of it?
I think when they announced the PlayStation 3 for like however expensive it was, I think he was the guy who took all the shrapnel from the fallout.
Oh. Oh, did Abe's Odyssey start on PlayStation?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I guess I always thought that as an Xbox property, but that's not the case.
I remember being really scared of Abe's Odyssey. You had to like sneak past sleeping monsters.
Oh.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool.
Yeah, can't wait. Cool. It's coming out very soon. So it's coming out to VOD, and if you want to buy the Blu-ray, the actual physical release, but September 7th. So we'll get to jump in there. I'll make sure to get all my PlayStation gear on and watch this on the oldest TV I can find, and sit on the the carpet next to it.
Yeah, get some PlayStation boxes on, just sit in your pants and watch it.
Yep, nice. So yeah, I can't wait for that to come out. Let's see, we got some more news here. We got PS5 instant loading feature explained, and it seemingly has an official name. So this is of Tech Radar. Samuel Roberts reports this. The PS5's instant loading feature, now apparently called Activities, has been discussed in a now deleted article for an upcoming racing game. In a Game Reactor preview for WRC9, we got what appears to be more detailed explanation, and seemingly the official name, of the PS5's ability to instantly load players into certain parts of the game shown. Gematsu archived the article and tweeted the relevant paragraph. Also, a free update of those who get WRC9 on either PS4 or Xbox One. The game will upgrade to the next-gen version on PS5 or Xbox Series X. And we're looking forward to seeing how performance, graphics, or features such as PS5's Activities feature, an instant deep link to specific races directly from the console's menu, revealed the future of rally racing. So this isn't the first time Sony has used the word Activities to describe the notion of instantly loading into part of the game on PS5, though it was previously mentioned in passing. Back in one of last year's Wired Reveal articles around the PS5 hardware, as pointed out by Eurogamer, Sony's chief architect Mark Cerny said the following: even though it will be fairly fast to boot games, we don't want players to have to boot the game. Multiplayer game servers will provide the console with a set of joinable activities in real time. Single-player games will provide information like what missions you could do and what rewards you might receive for completing them, and all those choices will be visible in the UI. As a player, you just jump right into whatever you like. So yeah, let's pick this apart, Callum. We have heard, I think there's been rumors already revealed about some kind of instant load, or not instant load, but like an instant ability to play a game too, like a demo that they might release where it's just in the menu itself, in the UI, in the marketplace. But this seems like
Yeah.
we're getting more information on a hardcore feature that lets you just jump right into whatever aspect of the game you want.
Yeah, sounds interesting. I think I'll have to see it to understand the sort of whole activities name. I think that's a
Mm.
strange name to sort of give it, but they might sort of the way it's all set out, it might make more sense then. But this is just getting me more excited to see the UI. Really, I'm really excited to see that work and how it responds with the new SSD tech. And yeah, it's cool to see that they're starting to be a bit more blasé. And I know they deleted the article, but in how they talk about things and who they reveal things to. So yeah, let's hope that we'll see some UI soon and see some of this in action.
Yeah, I can't wait. I mean, that's a great feature that I'm excited about. Is just jumping into stuff as fast as possible, and then loading
Mhm.
into exactly what you want. So, say it's a certain type of multiplayer map or option, you can just jump right into it. Or there's a certain level on a game you want to play, you can jump right into that. And I guess that's a testament to that super fast SSD tech that they're talking about that allows
Yeah,
them to do that. But I imagine on the dev side, they have to also just add those options to where you can jump into whatever part you like. You don't have to load the thing in that old
sure.
school way. But yeah, this is a great feature moving forward, and I hope this becomes a standard, and we'll see that on Series X, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah. I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure it would be. If something like that is going to be, a mainstay on PS5, I'm sure there'll be something comparable on Xbox.
Although with that SSD they're talking about, so that's this proprietary thing they're working on. I want to say they've released info on the SSD being a terabyte max. I think it's like technically 800 something gigabytes. That's great, but that's gonna fit, I don't know, 5, 6 games on there. And so I'm wondering, I would hope, or I would love rather, for an expanded, hard drive of that capacity where I don't have to worry about upgrading or having an external, but that external hard drive that has a lot of my games, isn't gonna have that same quick jump in feature with the SSD. So I'm going to be moving stuff around, and I just want them
Yeah,
to future proof it a little bit and add maybe like a 2 terabyte, a 3 terabyte. Although I don't know how expensive that gets when it's a super fast SSD.
yeah.
But yeah.
I think I could be wrong here, but I think that they're going to be able to make games a smaller file size by using this sort of by sort of making these games for these drives. I think they're able
Mm.
to make it so that the games are actually packed in smaller file sizes, because I think that when things upload, they're loaded in differently. So I don't think that it's necessarily every single texture has to be stored in its in its most uncompressed form. I think that this will do some things to reduce file size, but to be honest, I mean, I'm happy with the amount of space I have on my. I've got just a 500 gigabyte hard drive on my. That's what the base is, isn't it? The
Yeah.
PS4. And I mean that does a job for me. I only ever really play 2 or 3 games at a time on PS4. So and obviously your saves are saved elsewhere anyway. So if I delete a game, I just have to reinstall it to play it again. I'm not too worried about that, but I know that it can be a problem for people who sort of have not the best internet, who have to wait like a whole day to get a game downloaded. So there can be a problem there. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see how that works and how much that's going to affect it. Because again, if we're going to be able to be playing demos without even downloading them, who's to say that we don't need to download as much of a game as we maybe think, or maybe
Mhm.
it's quite sophisticated in only making sure that certain aspects are installed when you're playing those certain things. So who knows? Let's hope that this new SSD architecture can combat the need for extremely large hard drives to accommodate these big games.
Yeah, Callum, I can't imagine. I think you're a caveman over there with that old school 500 gigabyte hard drive. I need the 2, 4 terabyte. Got to have it all on the system so I can just
Yeah,
flip through the games that I'll never play and just see them all in real time. I need to have that option.
yeah, yeah. No, I sometimes I'll look at like my purchased bit, my library, and I've got like 240 games there or
Yeah.
something, and I just look at them all and I just think I'm never going to play half of these. The same when I look at my Steam library,
Yep.
it's just horrible. Now with Xbox Game Pass, I look at all these games and I'm like, I'll just never play any of these. So it's all I quite like being restricted to what I can download, because it sort of means that I have to at least watch what I play and make sure that I'm playing things completed.
That's the same way to do it, but for me, yeah, I just like having it all on the one system, and even though I'll never play it, I just like being able to cruise through and have the option of jumping right in, but I know I won't. But yeah,
Yeah,
we'll jump
yeah.
into this next one here. Callum, I brought this up because I know you're a Sekiro fan. So Sekiro Shadows Die Twice, free update to add boss rush, new outfits, and remnants. So this is Adam Bakehurst of IGN. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice will be getting a new update on October 29th, 2020 that will add a boss rush, new outfits, and a remnant system that will allow players to send messages to others on their journey. As revealed on the Activision Games blog, the first part of this update is the Reflections and Gauntlets of Strength, which can be accessed through the Sculptor's Idols. The Reflections of Strength allows for players to take on any previously defeated boss. The Gauntlets of Strength, on the other hand, has you face off against Sekiro's bosses in consecutive battles. If the Wolf, player character, were to die at any point, he would have to start from the beginning. Lastly, remnants are recordings of players' actions for up to 30 seconds at a time. After a player records one of these remnants, it can be uploaded along with a message to help others making their way through Sekiro. If a community member watches and rates a remnant, the owner of it will have their HP recover for free. This was especially helpful for those Sekiro players who are playing for the first time on Google Stadia, which will be released on the streaming service on October 29th, 2020 as well. How do you feel, Cal? Did you ever finish Sekiro, or was this enough to have you jump back in?
No, I jumped back in and got a lot further than I originally was. I got to I think quite a large bit towards the end of the game, but then I just dropped it again. And I do plan on going back to it. And then that's a game that I've kept installed on my PS4. I think it's only like 16 gig, I think, or something really small.
Wow.
But yeah, I plan on going back to it. But yeah, this sounds cool. I have no idea why people would want to ever fight the bosses again.
Yeah.
Fighting them once is plenty for me. But no, it's cool. The remnants thing, I don't really understand. I mean, I imagine it's the same as is it Dark Souls that already has that, where you can
Yep.
sort of see a silhouette of them. I don't understand that if a community member watches and rates a remnant, the owner of it will have their HP recover for free. So does that mean you have to be playing the game while someone rates your remnant? Because obviously, if you're not playing the game, then I don't
Yeah.
know how that works. But
I'm not sure. That's interesting because, yeah, I mean, does it happen after the fact? But can you choose? Maybe you load up the game and you realize that 4 people have, used your remnant or whatever, and so you can choose to use that HP when you want, or it automatically applies. I'm not sure.
yeah. I'm not sure, but yeah, it sounds cool. I saw something about segregating some more content, maybe something about some new armor as well, like some new skins or something.
Mm.
But yeah, no, it's cool. It's a great game. Oh yeah, I've just seen. Sorry, yeah, you said new outfits. Yeah, it's a great game. I do need to get back to it. I do really want to finish it. I've got a friend who's got the platinum on it, and he bullies me because I don't have it. So I need to stand up to him and
Right.
show him that I'm not a crybaby. But no, yeah, it's a pretty game. It's cool to see it's getting more support, and it's cool to see it's coming out of Stadium, which, as much as we shit on a little bit, I think it's cool to see Google doing well. I mean, not like they need to do well or anything,
Right.
but yeah, it's cool to just see that again. It's opening up to that extremely minuscule audience of Google Stadia players.
Now, you played Sekiro. Do you think the gameplay allows for any lag to happen if you are streaming something like this over Stadia? I mean, I wonder if that's going to be a hurdle with just because you have to be very quick with your inputs and your reactions.
I think, and not to, I know it's a really it's kind of like a meme in itself now, where people say Sekiro is like a rhythm game, but I mean, it really is. There are times where bosses will attack you just really, really quickly over and over, and if you just tap L1 at the exact right time each time, you'll be able to kill them in 5 seconds or whatever. So
Mm.
I think it would be easiest to think of it as if you were to play Guitar Hero on Google Stadia. Where how would the latency affect pressing the buttons and strumming the guitar
Gotcha.
on the screen? I think it's the same thing. Seeing, because you have to be so perfect time with every time a strike comes in, and you have to tap L1 or whatever Google Stadia has and where L1 is. Then yeah, there definitely could be some issues, but I imagine that I think instead of PS Now, instead of there being too much latency, it'll drop the quality first.
Gotcha.
So yeah, it could be an issue, but I can't speak on Google Stadia's on how well it plays, how well it streams. So I don't really know, but it'll be cool if it's a good benchmark for it. If people are able to play it and enjoy it, then that's a clear game that revolves around latency. So it's definitely a good benchmark to have on it and to prove that it works.
Right. Yeah, I just found that interesting. I wonder if that's gonna ruffle any feathers, when it releases. But as long as they can nail that, then they're good to go. But
yeah, well, feathers always rustle. So
that's
I'm
the
sure
internet.
we'll see some. Yeah.
Nice, Callum. So we got our last story here, and I brought this up as well because you're a huge Destroy All Humans fan. So the game came out this week, and some of the reviews I pulled from Metacritic. So overall, on Metacritic, it has a 69. IGN gave it a 7 out of 10. Blasting through the bright and cheery 1950s world of Destroy All Humans is a simple but satisfying kind of fun, and there's a lot to be said for that. Just like the original, this remaster's comedy is a little hit or miss, but its attitude is in full force all the way through thanks to some overpowered alien abilities that let you mow down the puny human resistance like an overlord. Polygon has a fair to good review on it as well. It isn't always a good game, but Destroy All Humans constantly feels good to play. Assuming you can stomach the raunchy humor that has aged like a breakfast burrito left in the sun all weekend, Destroy All Humans is a damn fine B game from an era when publishers bothered to fund such things. I wish there was more new games taking these bizarre, silly swings at ridiculous ideas with sizable budgets. For now, I guess remakes from a different time will have to suffice. And Push Square rounds it out here, kind of a somewhat negative review. Destroy All Humans is a good attempt to bring back the cult classic in 2020, but it misses the mark in a few key areas. While there are some nice improvements to the core gameplay, they don't do enough to rescue the old-fashioned mission design and difficulty spikes. It's a shame, because there's some fun to be found here. You just have to put up with quite a lot of PS2-era baggage. Fans will be delighted, but this remake is hardly out of this world. Have you been following some of the reviews? How do you feel about picking this up?
Yeah, I played it at Gamescom last year, just like it's like the first level or so, and I knew then that it was exactly the same as the original in every way, just better graphics, kind of like how I suppose Medieval or Crash Bandicoot was done. So I think it's fair. I think the main problems are that it hasn't aged well because, like I said, it seems like the actual structure or the design of the game hasn't actually changed in any way. So it is very maybe archaic in that respect. But I think it's exactly what the majority of people expected. It's just the exact same game with flashier graphics. And so I think it hasn't put me off or anything. I think it's just exactly how I was expecting it to be received. Just any problems the original had, it still has. It's just got glossy new graphics. I think I'll definitely be picking that up. I'm sort of stuck between getting this or the SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom game.
Oh, sure.
I definitely want to definitely sort of. I'm lumping them into sort of a similar category of game to choose from, because both the games that I loved when I was younger are both sort of remakes of these PS2 games. So I'll sort of think on that. I'm trying to assess my backlog at the moment. After beating Ghost of Tsushima, I'm playing Assassin's Creed Origins as well. So I'm just, that's on my PC though. So I'm trying to look at my PS4. Maybe I'll finish Last of Us 2 and then get a new game. Maybe Destroy Humans or SpongeBob. So I just feel like something a bit more light-hearted, a bit of fun.
Yep.
Nice little collectathon kind of just easy, nice game. So it's about how I expected. But what about you? Are you gonna pick this up or?
I don't know. Maybe if there's a pretty good deal in the next coming months, I might pick this one up. But even when this came out, I always thought it was cool, but it never quite called out to me enough for me to pick this up when it originally came out. But it's a cool idea. I guess I'll see kind of what the price will end up. I know it's I think the actual remaster is like $30-$40 around that range. I don't think it's like a full-blown title. So if it's a bit cheaper, I think I'll have no excuse to not jump into it. But what do you think about some of the criticism with the humor not holding up? Is the humor really dated for this era? I
don't really remember. Maybe. Obviously jokes get old quickly. I don't know whether it's because it's set in the 60s, so whether there's certain tropes that it plays on in that respect. But I think they've always been pretty funny. They've always been, but I think that whole alien coming down to Earth and probing people and that kind of thing is something that has just been played out and played out. Not that it's offensive, so it's got old in that way. I think maybe it's just slightly cringe sometimes, which I'm sure it will be. But so yeah, I think again that's just one of the things that you're gonna expect when you remaster an old 2005 era game.
Yeah.
You're gonna keep the things that have aged poorly in terms of its game design and structure, and like saying about its mission structure, and also yeah, the humor or the cultural sort of decisions around like the dialogue and the setting, of course, is gonna have also aged as well. So yeah, I think again, it's all fair. I think it's all expected. You can play the PS2 version on PS4 now anyway. So I think that that the exact same problems you probably have with that aren't related to its visuals, you'll just have with the new one as well. So yeah, I can imagine it's probably a little bit cringe now to play, but I'm sure it's still good fun.
Gotcha. Yeah, I agree. With looking at the footage, I mean, there's no way you can't have fun playing this game. So, especially with all
Yeah,
the destructibility and how you can take over the humans and just mess with them and kill everybody,
yeah,
and it seems really,
yeah,
really, really fun. So, I think that is a good palate cleanser from some of the previous or the current games we're
yeah,
playing. This would be a good way to mix it up.
yeah. Hopefully, it'll kind of do what Crash did as well. It paved the way for a new one.
Right.
It's a great IP. It's great fun. I remember Crypto being a really great character, and the sort of sandbox um, sort of mentality the game has, which will have aged terribly by now. But I think that's something that could be really fun to play around with. Flying around in a UFO and laying waste to just these like suburban neighborhoods is just something really therapeutic about it. So even as a kid, I mean, I would have been what, about 10 or 11 in 2005. So as a kid, I found that very therapeutic indeed. So as an adult, I'm sure I'll find it even more so.
Yeah, I wonder. I guess you kind of touched on that, but is there room for them to or not remaster, but actually like do a new entry in this series, just like they did Crash Bandicoot with is it Time Enough or About Time on the new Crash one?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I've just been calling it Crash 4 just
There
because
you
I'm too old to remember names of things now.
go.
So Crash 4 is fine.
Right. Nice, Callan. Well, we'll end it there. That's our news articles for the week. Where can they find you on the interwebs?
I'm on Twitter at Bear Munro, where I'll probably be starting to share screenshots of the games I've playing because I've realized how easy it is to do that now. Even on PC, it's very easy to share screenshots. So
Hmm.
you can expect to see my Twitter feed full of really, when someone like thinks they're a photographer and they take really awful photos and they like really proud of them, you're gonna see some really like dodgy photos that make games look really bad, and I'll be like, oh, look how nice this
Right.
is, or whatever. I know you saw actually. Sorry to veer off, but
No.
when I got the platinum and I shared the like platinum photo that it takes whenever you get a trophy,
Yeah.
it's such an awful photo. It's like all blurred because like the HUD was in the middle of like telling me something and then moving away.
Oh no.
So it's a really crap photo. And I've seen like some people's like they've got this really majestic like thing with the platinum trophy popped in the top right. And mine's just some like blurred image of like me rotating the camera around the main character. So that was quite annoying. But yeah, I think you spoke to me before about photo mode being really great fun, and
Right.
I'm really into just share. It's just a little bit of flavor for whatever bollocks I'm spewing on Twitter with in the words. So it's nice to add a little bit of eye candy for people who don't want to read whatever I have to say.
No, you mentioned a good point with not just photo mode, but when those trophies pop, it's kind of it takes an automatic screenshot, but it's locked to whatever you're viewing. It'd be dope if you could
Yeah,
actually once you earn that actual trophy and the system can understand that, you can move
yeah,
that little announcement around and actually pick the right screenshot that you want to represent that, because people do
yeah,
like sharing when they finally, especially like in a platinum, you finally achieved it. But if you're just like in the menu or whatever when it happens, or in some or you're blurring the screen like you were, like your thumbs in front of the camera, like it's a horrible picture. Like you want to be able to be proud of
yeah,
it, but so maybe going forward they
yeah.
can work on how you share that stuff.
Yeah. I think it's a really cool idea. I never really even thought about took photos of the trophies, but I assume it is just for sharing. I mean, the name's sort of on the button, isn't it? It's for sharing with other people,
Right.
and it's really cool. It's the same on PC, and it's very easy to screenshot, and you can get some really nice, especially with the Xbox like game bar thing, where it will save a screenshot for you. So
Yep.
So yeah, it is quite nice. I mean, it's a nice way to just sort of share something you've just done, and I mean, playing Assassin's Creed Origins, that's a nice game to do it on as well. So yeah, I'll probably make everyone fed up with all the screenshots I'll start posting now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I love to see screenshots and just what people are doing, and or
Yeah,
when they fail horribly too. Those are awesome as well.
yeah, yeah.
All right, kind of we'll end it there, and you can keep up with the show on Plastic Art Pod as well on Twitter. And that's it for us this week. We'll see you guys next week.